Hey, I got some information. I got a moment with Bob in the mail the other day that I'm about to share with you. But he also, in his moment, he sent a couple of links, and I checked them out. Some pretty scary stuff that he included in his moment. I don't know how much of it I'll be able to get in on today's podcast, but I shall try. So let me start with Bob's email to me, which it includes his moment with Bob. It's a little bit different this time. But still in all, as Bob Alexander's moments always are, they will enlighten and frighten. Enlighten and frighten all of us. Anyway, here's what he wrote. He wrote this yesterday, Thursday. 100,000 a day? Hey, Mike, I read these first thing this morning. And then he has the link, and above it the headline, Trump surrendered America to coronavirus, and Americans are paying the price. And that was written by Umair Haque. And, Bob includes the other one, U.S. hits record high of 50,000 new cases of COVID-19 in one day. And that's by Susie Madrak, who writes at Crooks and Liars. Bob writes, now all last week, the number of new COVID-19 cases seemed to hit new all-time highs daily. And yesterday, Wednesday, there was a new daily high of 50,000 cases. At this rate, there aren't too many days to go before the U.S. hits 100,000 cases a day. I don't know if I completely agree with Scary Umair's article, to which I have posted you a link, but I think it's because I'm afraid that he's right. As creepy old Herbert Spencer once said, quote, the greatest of all infidelities is the fear that the truth will be bad, end quote. If the U.S. keeps marching briskly toward the 100,000 daily mark, when will that awful milestone be reached? Will the numbers leap up arithmetically or exponentially? What's the infection rate going to be at the end of August? September? Because if Scary Umair is right, and I think he is, then when that terrible number is reached, the United States will be broken. What does that mean? From Hake's article. What happens at 100,000 cases per day? Society as we know it, even what's left of it, simply ceases to function. Everything stops and begins to fall apart. A nation explodes from the inside out like a supernova. Financial systems, energy systems, water and hygiene systems, last-mile delivery systems, all these begin to buckle for the simple reason that, well, who exactly is going to take care of them anymore? If coronavirus reaches 100,000 cases per day in America, modern life, what little is left of it, will simply cease to exist. Then there are the economic consequences, which I don't fully cover in this essay for the sake of brevity, but I will mention. There is no such thing as a V-shaped recovery from a catastrophe. There never has been. Anyone who tells you so is not a very good economist. Every day of a catastrophe takes at least 1 to 3 days, maybe 5 to 10, to recover from. Think of an earthquake, war, tornado, flood. Catastrophe causes recession, and great ones, like this pandemic, causes depressions. This pandemic hasn't yet peaked in America. It's been 4 months. People have had little to no support from the government, unlike in Europe, just 1 week's equivalent. A massive depression, too, is now in the cards. End of the quotes from Umar Haig's article. Back to Bob. Bob writes, "Things I think, Department. The price of food keeps going up." From the Vancouver Sun on June 30th, the headline, "Brace yourself for higher food prices as grocers navigate a stuttering economy." The current food inflation rate is at 3.4% and could reach 4% by year's end, said Sylvain Charlebois, Senior Director of Agri-Food Analytics Lab at the Dalhousie University, in a new note. The food inflation, she writes, is likely to be much higher than the typical, which is anywhere between 1.5% to 2.5%, end quote. The decoupling between the general and food inflation rates will make a 4% food inflation rate feel more like a 10% or 12% increase for the average consumer buying food, end quote. Bob writes, and that's up here in Canada. Where are prices going to go in the United States? Unless there is a big sea change, it's possible that by the end of August, the beginning of September, that the 100,000 mark will be getting uncomfortably close. And by big sea change, I mean everybody wears a effing mask when they go outside, starting yesterday. You know what's worse than a second wave? A really high plateau. More from Umar Haig's article, quote, "Remember, a peak is a human creation. This is something Americans still don't seem to understand. A peak is not something natural. Left to its own devices, a new virus can just plateau amongst the human population forever, like smallpox and polio did," end quote. Back to Bob. Remember when there was polio? It was just always there, always in the background, until the vaccines showed up. Then it was gone. My dad had polio when he was 3. It left him with a wasted leg. A couple of my friends had it. We were the same age, born a month or so apart. They got it. I escaped that fate because of sheer luck. Polio was a dreadful thing, something to be feared. And there wasn't anything you could do about it until the vaccines. What's it going to be like with COVID-19 always being there, lurking in the background? I remember the fear of polio. I wish more people were afraid of COVID-19. So, what to do? I think it's a really good idea to have a stuffed pantry going into the fall and winter. And by stuffed, I mean 3 to 6 months of non-perishable food. 3 months is good, 6 months is better. If food prices continue to rise, stocking a pantry will be cheaper now than later. Plus, it's the only thing we can do. On that happy note, back to reading Kurt Vonnegut. He makes melancholy tolerable. Regards from beautiful British Columbia, Bob. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.